For decades, the BBC has produced some of the best and most popular documentaries about our natural world, awakening generation after generation to remarkable biodiversity and showing what's at stake as our planet warms. The Frozen Planet 2 series is a sequel to the 2011 Frozen Planet series, continuing the legacy of BBC Earth programmes. The Minecraft Education team has been thrilled to partner with BBC on Frozen Planet 2 Minecraft Experience. This is a series of 5 worlds that take the magic of Frozen Planet 2 on screen and then experience an epic immersive Minecraft adventures. We want to provide you as a player with game-changing learning experiences that help you understand and even solve real-world issues. Our goal is to build a better world with the power of play. Today we're going to visit the Minecraft Frozen Planet 2 world, Frozen Oceans. In this session we will consider the oceans that connect our world, then concentrate on one of the oceans in particular. We will also investigate animals that live in this area and develop an understanding of how they have adapted to survive in extreme conditions. So, hello everyone. I'd like to introduce myself first of all. My name's Sarah Snowden and I'm the Minecraft Learning Centre Programme Manager in Wales. I'm also a Minecraft trainer and I'm also a Minecraft Global Mentor. And I'm going to just start this session today by explaining how everything is actually going to work. So there'll be parts of the time where we will be showing you slides and presenting from the front. We'll also be asking learners lots of questions as well. And this, teachers, is where you need to be ready. So learners, when we ask you a question, you let your teachers know the answer. Sometimes teachers will ask you to put their responses in the Q&A panel so that we can see those and obviously comment on them. And we've also got some slides that come up that have got a QR code. So teachers, if you could use your phone or an iPad, scan the QR code and then we can see those responses coming in dynamically as well. In fact, what could be a good idea if you've got any spare iPads in the room or anything is actually let some of your learners have those as well, so they could also scan the QR codes and put their responses straight in. We will be asking first of all some answers, or we want you to ask some questions actually in the Q&A panel. Now, I'm not here alone today. I've got a friend with me who's going to help run this session, and I'll let her introduce herself now.
Hi, I'm Manon Watkins and I'm a classroom teacher. I'm also one of the trainers in the Minecraft Learning Centres here in Wales, and I'm also a Minecraft Global Mentor. And this today sounds like a brilliant virtual session, and I think I know what would make this even better.
Oh, what's that then, Manon?
Well, I would like to introduce you to a very special guest that we've got with us today. We have Orla Doherty, and she is one of the producers of Frozen Planet 2 series and a producer with BBC Studios Natural History Unit. So welcome, Orla.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Well, it's lovely to have you here. We're all thrilled to talk to you. And we know that the BBC Frozen Planet 2 series travels from pole to pole to reveal surprising frozen worlds and the remarkable animals that live there. For you, what was the most remarkable location and animal to film? That's the first question I really want to know. But if anybody else has got any questions, please pop them into the Q&A. So yeah, what was the most remarkable thing you filmed?
I think the most remarkable place I went to was to the South Pole. The very closing shot in my film about Antarctica is the polar plateau at the South Pole. So getting all the way to the very bottom of the planet was incredible. And the most remarkable animal that we filmed for me is the Antarctic blue whale. It's the most enormous creature that's ever lived on the planet. It's really barely been filmed before. And a crew, 2 young crew, went and lived on a boat for 6 weeks, bouncing around in the rough Southern Ocean, combating, feeling really seasick a lot of the time, but to be able to film the blue whale. So that was a very special capture for us.
That sounds incredible. Wow. So,
sorry,
no,
Manuel.
go Sarah. Have you got a question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Ola, what was the hardest thing you found to actually film?
The hardest thing was when we decided to film the stromatolites, which are these ancient bacterial organisms, great big mounds that live in a lake, which is frozen over. And for us to film that, we needed to get down to Antarctica, travel across the ice, set up tents and camp for 3 weeks in unheated tents on the ice of a lake, to send divers through the ice sheet covering the lake to get underwater to film the stromatolites. And it was the toughest thing I have ever done and probably ever will do in my entire life. And yet it was also one of the most incredible experiences any of us have ever had that were on that team.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. So, do you want to ask any more questions, Manon, while we're waiting for some?
Yeah, I've got lots flying through my head now, but I'm actually wondering, what technologies have you used to capture the amazing images in Frozen Planet 2?
A lot of the underwater filming that we did, we used this technology called a rebreather. And normally when you go diving, you have a regulator in your mouth, and when you breathe out, bubbles, the air that you've been breathing, come out. And with a rebreather technology, the air comes out of your mouth and goes back around your system. And so you don't make any bubbles. And for us, that was a really important piece of technology to use, because it meant, for example, when we were filming the Weddell seals who were fighting with each other and interacting with each other, and a mum protecting her pup, we wanted to be underwater without disturbing the animals. So this technology, because it makes no bubbles, meant that the camera people could be not close to the animals, but not disturb them. The bubbles, the seals would have read the bubbles as a sign of aggression, which would have been, not a good place to be if you're in amongst seals that are interacting with each other. So that was a really important piece of tech. We also used that when we were filming the stromatolites, and it's a very advanced piece of diving technology, which is very complicated to use. So it took a lot of planning and effort to do that, but it was worth it.
It just sounds fascinating, doesn't it, man?
Wow.
I'm absolutely in awe. We've actually just got one question that's coming in at the moment, Orland. One of them is asking, what's your favourite animal?
In the world ever, or in the Frozen universe?
Well, perhaps give us one of each then.
Okay. I think in our Frozen Planet 2 universe, it has to be the wave washing killer whales. They are just such an extraordinary, intelligent, an intelligent predator, but that lives in a world that's very similar to ours. They live in these family groups, and grandmothers and mothers and babies and aunts and sisters all hang out in these family groups, and they really take care of each other. So even though they can come across as a very wild, scary animal, they have a very tender side, and they're just incredible and so powerful and so intelligent. So that they're my absolute favourite.
And then what about your favourite in the world then as well?
The world is an animal that hangs out partly in Antarctica, partly off the coast of Australia, and it's a dwarf minke whale. And that's my favourite because I once had the most incredible dive of my life interacting with this one particular dwarf minke whale, and it was extraordinary, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life. It was such a beautiful day.
Yeah,
wow.
Probably the closest I've got to doing that is actually I did a swim with dolphins out near Kenya. It was wow. Yeah, that was quite incredible.
Yeah, any encounter that you can have with whales or dolphins, it never fails to amaze. Yeah,
amazing. One of my pupils wanted to ask, how do you get a job working on something like Frozen Planet?
Well, there's many ways to try. You can either go down the road of becoming really good at science, really good at biology, and taking biology all the way, and then bringing that skill set into the natural history unit, which is the department at the BBC where we make these programs. There's also, you can become an actual scientist and then interact with us that way. We work with scientists everywhere we go. So field scientists studying the killer whales, the blue whales, all the animals that we film. We do that with scientists. You can become super technical and pick up cameras and start filming and work with us in a camera capacity. You could be a composer who writes music, like become the next Hans Zimmer, him and his team wrote our score, and work with us that way. You could become an editor and start learning how to move pictures around and actually put a film together. So there are so many. It's not just about, where do you go? You could become an accountant. We have accountants working on our teams, managing our finances. So there's many different roles within how you actually make a series like Frozen Planet 2.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah. So didn't one of your learners want to know what's the coldest Ola's ever been? Yeah.
How cold does it get?
The coldest I've ever been was in that tent on that lake, filming under the ice of the lake. It got down to it was down to -20 Celsius, which doesn't actually sound that cold, but then you add the wind chill factor, and there were a couple of nights where we had winds of up to 70 miles an hour, which was A, very cold, and B, quite alarming, because we had actually had to put rocks around the outside of our tents just to make sure that the wind didn't get too strong and lift us up and blow us away, which has before. So those nights I didn't sleep because I was just too cold and also too terrified that I was going to blow away into the mountains.
Wow. Sounds like a very fascinating job you've got there, Ola.
It does. So thank you so much for joining us today. I found that really interesting. I'm sure all the learners out there found that interesting too. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, and have a great session.
Thank you, Ola. Thank you.
Thank you. So, as Sarah said, today we're going to consider the oceans that connect our world. So oceans are large bodies of salt water, and they actually cover about 2/3 of the Earth. That's quite a large portion of the Earth, isn't it? And there are 5 oceans altogether.
5, right, okay. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is the Pacific Ocean. This is the world's largest ocean. This covers about 1/3 of the Earth. And the Pacific Ocean stretches from the continents of Asia to Oceania on the east and to the North and South America on the west. It also stretches across both sides of the equator, which shown on this picture by that little dotted line that you can see around there. So the equator splits the Pacific Ocean into 2 parts. So you've got the North Pacific and the South Pacific as well.
Wow, it's big.
Very big.
The world's second largest ocean is the Atlantic Ocean, and it covers about 1/4 of the Earth. So to the west of the Atlantic Oceans are the continents of North and South America, and Europe and Africa are to the east. As with the Pacific, the equator splits the Atlantic Ocean into 2 parts. So you have the North Atlantic and the South Atlantic.
Gosh, another big body of water there.
Yes.
Right. And our third one here is the water surrounding the Antarctica, when it's called the Southern Ocean. It's near the South Pole, so that's where Ola was talking about, and it's very cold there, and there are icebergs floating in the water even in the summer. So the Southern Ocean is the second smallest ocean.
And we have the Indian Ocean, and this is the 3rd largest ocean. It is in between the continents of Africa, Asia and Oceania.
And then we've got our smallest and shallowest ocean, and that's the Arctic Ocean. This surrounds the Arctic and the North Pole. The Arctic is the coldest of all the oceans, and most of the Arctic Ocean is covered with ice all year round.
So now here, this is a photograph of Earth and its oceans taken from space. And the photograph has been changed so we can see all the Earth's surface in one picture. Note how all 5 of the oceans are connected with each other and water flows between them.
Wow, so as Manon said, the ocean is a huge body of salt water and it's contained in Earth's basins. These are hollows in the Earth's crust. And the deepest known area of the ocean is the Mariana Trench in the Pacific. It's nearly 11,000 meters deep. It's so deep that if you put Mount Everest, which actually is the world's tallest mountain, at the bottom of the trench, the top of the mountain would still be under the sea, as you can see from the image there. The weather can be very extreme on the oceans. There can be very high winds and huge waves. Now, this is an image of the Arctic Ocean. And learners, you need to use your powers of observation here. So take a good look at this image and we're going to start to ask you some questions now. Let your teachers know your answers, and teachers, be ready to scan that QR code and type in your learners' responses. So just have another look at this image now. And we're going to come up with the first question. So what did you see in that image? What did you see?
Made me feel very cold.
Yeah, I felt like when putting a jumper on. You got one coming in now. I thought we had.
Snow.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely had snow in there. Any other observations? Icebergs.
Yes.
A cold ocean. Definitely. What about above the water? What could you see in the sky? Oh, you could see ice below the waterline, yeah, as well. Clouds, yes, it was very cloudy there.
Some brilliant answers there. Thank you.
Okay, and now another question. Did the image give you clues about the temperature at that location? If it did, name a clue. What was the clues in there? People busy typing away here. Ice and snow, so it's very cold. Can't see the sun. Yeah, definitely. They are correct. And then we've got one other quick question. Oh, ice, yes. Sorry, I'll just move one. That's right. So what did that image make you think or feel? Made you feel cold? Yes. Yeah. Some more coming in now. I know, as I said, I felt like I wanted to put a jumper on just looking at that. Yeah. Oh, magnificence. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good question. How do animals actually survive there at all? If there are any animals, that's a good question. Are there? Yeah.
Yeah, some really good observations there, learners. Thank you. In fact, if you looked at a globe, you would find the Arctic Ocean on top of the world. Countries that surround the Arctic Ocean are Russia, Norway, Iceland, you've got Greenland, and then Canada and the United States.
So the Arctic Ocean is the coldest of all the oceans. This is because this is the region of the world that doesn't get direct sunlight. The average summer lasts only 2 months and the temperatures reach 0 degrees Celsius. So even in the summer, it's absolutely freezing. And those long winter experiences much colder temperatures, reaching as low as minus 40 Celsius.
Wow, that is cold.
Yeah.
So why doesn't the Arctic get direct sunlight?
Okay, it's because of the Earth and how it actually rotates. If you just have a look at this little image here. So the Earth is rotating on its axis every 24 hours, causing the day and night. It also orbits the sun over a course of a year. This is what causes the seasons. And because the Earth is tilted on this axis, when it's pointed towards the sun, that hemisphere experiences the summer. And when the Earth's axis is pointed away from the sun, that hemisphere experiences the winter. And those seasons are caused by the angle of the sun's rays. So you can see that it's got low angle of sunlight coming in. So that's due to the position. The Arctic never receives direct sunlight. Even in the summer, the sun is always very, very low on the horizon. Teachers, there is actually an experiment in the resource pack that goes with Frozen Oceans that you could do with your learners later that really helps to demonstrate how this actually works. Now, what do you think happens to the sun's energy at the Arctic?
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this. So the bright light surface of ice reflects the sun's energy into space away from the Earth. And the ability to do this is called the albedo effect. However, climate change is causing the ice at the Arctic to melt. And when this happens, the darker surface of the seawater is exposed and it absorbs more of the sun's energy. And as a result, the Arctic waters experience a warming effect. The sea ice that covers the Arctic Ocean expands and shrinks over the 2 main seasons experienced in this region. So during a long and cold winter, the Arctic experiences less sunlight, causing temperatures to drop and sea ice to form. And then as the seasons change, the Arctic starts to experience more sunlight and temperatures rise during the longer summer season and the sea ice starts to melt. While melting and freezing occurs naturally throughout the year, records show that the extent of the Arctic sea ice has been rapidly declining since 1979.
Gosh, right. That is so interesting, Manon. And no, again, there is another experiment in the resource pack, teachers, that I would really encourage you to try it out with your learners, and it help them get a better understanding of what's happening and the effects of the ice loss at the Arctic as a result of this climate change. Okay, I think it's time we should start to consider some of the animals that actually live in this location. And probably the most famous is the polar bear. Now, I'll give you some facts about the polar bear, and this is definitely going to help you when you get into the Minecraft Frozen Oceans world. So listen out for these facts as well. So the polar bear are the largest bears in the world. They are carnivorous marine mammals. This means that they are warm-blooded, and they have creatures when they actually give birth to live young. In the shelter of a den, a polar bear mother, a mama bear, usually gives birth to their cubs in the winter and often have twins. The polar bear lives in and around the Arctic Ocean, and polar bears spend much of their lives on sea ice. And this is where they're going to hunt and they travel and they mate. Now, because of the ongoing loss of sea ice, the polar bears are increasingly forced to swim further for food and are being pushed to spend more time actually on the land. And this is a problem when they're being attracted to areas where there's a lot of humans, because they are so huge, these polar bears. Now, polar bears are covered with fur, as you can see in the image there, and it provides them camouflage, insulation, and repels water after they've been swimming. Now, most of you probably think that the polar bears fur is white. Well, it looks like it's white, but actually it's transparent with a hollow core that reflects the light. An adult male reaches over 3 meters tall. I mean, that is very, very tall. And when standing on its hind legs, it can weigh up to 600 kilograms. The polar bears also have 2 layers of fur, a thick layer of fat that helps to insulate the bears from the cold, because we do know it gets very, very cold there. The large paws of the bear helps them spread their weight as they move across the snow and the ice. And polar bears are at the top of the food chain, meaning they don't have any natural predators. They eat meat and they hunt for a variety of meat, usually by seals as well. So the polar bears often hunt on the sea ice, and they have an excellent sense of smell, and they can actually detect a presence of a seal even under the ice. So as they're walking across the ice, they don't necessarily see the seals, but they can actually smell them through the ice. Walruses are much more dangerous, but sometimes they are the prey of the polar bear. Okay.
Wow, some amazing facts there. So learners, take a closer look at this next image now. How has the polar bear adapted to these surroundings to allow it to survive extreme conditions? So this image, have a look. How has he adapted to survive these extreme conditions? So again, we'll have a QR code for you. Thinking about all that information Sarah gave us then, how has he adapted to these cold surroundings? We got some people typing. Yeah, large paws. Yeah, they spread out the bear's weight as it moves across snow and ice. The layers of fur, yes, it's a great insulation, and it's also greasy, so it can repel water after swimming as well. Heavy fur, yes. Some great responses.
What about the colour of the fur?
Ah, the colour, yes. Like you said, Sarah, the fur is not actually white. It's camouflage. It's that translucent colour, but it's camouflage against that white ice and snow.
A couple more coming in.
Small ears, yes. And that would be to minimise heat loss. Excellent. Lots of great responses there. Really got us thinking about how these polar bears can survive in those extreme conditions. So thank you for your responses. It's now time to start working in Minecraft. So teachers, please can you make sure your learners are following along and are able to open the world. So this is the best way to get onto this world. So first of all, you should be logged in, and the main landing page will look like this in the number 1 area there. So we have play at the top. So click on play. Then secondly, click on view library from the dashboard. And then the best way is to click on the search box in the top right hand corner and type in frozen oceans. And then from the dashboard, click on the frozen oceans tile. That should be the first one that appears. And then click on create world. That's on the right hand side of the window.
Okay, so I'll just give you a minute to get in there. I get this opened up. And once you actually open the world, this will be the first thing that you see. This will be your spawn point in the world. And it'll have a message at the top of the screen that it's better to switch to being in a third person view. Okay. I think Manon's in the world now.
Yes, so hopefully you've all managed to reach this point here. And like Sarah mentioned, we've got this note that's come up on there. Sorry, that's my classroom bell. The best possible experience is to switch to third person view. So how do we do this? If you're on a keyboard, all you need to do is press F5, or on some devices, it might be Function and F5, and you'll see you can toggle through different perspectives. So if you're on a touch device, then you'll need to pause the game. So click on that pause button and press the settings button. And once you're in that settings area, you need to scroll down the side until you see the video button on the left-hand side here. And once you press on the video button, you'll see camera perspective. So this option here, if you drop the menu down, you'll see there's 3 different perspectives you can choose from. So you need to choose that third person back for the best possible experience in this world. Okay, and we can go back into the world. There we go. As you can see, I can see the best perspective here. Okay, we're going to walk towards that door and we're going to open it. So hopefully you've all managed to follow along so far. We're going to walk through that door.
Very dark.
It is. Wow.
Ah, but I can see the sun coming up there. It's just gone behind the mountains. It's going to come over the top of the mountains again. Yeah, there it is.
It's beautiful.
So it's just a little animation that starts these frozen planets off.
In winter, at the top of the planet, lies an icy wilderness. Not of land, but of frozen water, the Arctic Ocean. Its surface forms an almost solid platform that is bigger than the whole of the United States. Its presence and condition dominates the lives of all the many and varied animals. To survive here, life must adapt to this world that alternates between ice and water. A newly emerged polar bear mother encourages her cubs to take their first tentative steps on the sea ice.
Oh, okay. So we're going to be a mummy polar bear in this world.
Yes, we are. And look, we've got some instructions to follow.
Okay, so we need to guide our cubs. We've got twin cubs here, and we need to guide them safely through the ice floes and follow along till you see that coloured beacon. That's going to be our hunting grounds.
Okay, it's not an easy task though, and you will encounter male bears that will try to attack your cubs. So we need to press hit, which would be the same button as the mining button, to scare them off for a short time. And your cubs are not as fast as you in the water, so guide them over the ice instead.
Yes, and your cubs do get distracted pretty often, and so you'll need to press the jump, the space bar as well, to call them. Let's see what happens. Can you just try that out? Oh, so that's the mummy bear telling them to come on.
There we go. Okay, so let's get going on this journey together and see if we can provide any tips for our learners along the way. So off we go. I'm going to go forwards and I'm going to check, are those cubs following me? No.
Oh, no.
So I need to press the spacebar button again to call them to me. Are they coming? Yes. Let's venture further on the ice. And I'm going to make sure I don't go in the water. They're not very good swimmers yet. We're going to carry on towards that beacon and keep looking around. They're not following again. I'm going to press the space bar again. You should hear a roar from the mother bear. There we go. Keep
Tell
following.
them to hurry up.
Still coming. Good.
Good.
We're nearly there. Yay, we've reached the checkpoint. So keep going to reach the hunting area. So can you see the next beacon? We're going to aim for that one. And I'm going to look around which way is the best way to go.
Yes, don't get in the water because they can't swim that well. They're only babies.
They are. I'm going to keep calling them. Make sure they are following.
Oh, a male
can you
bear. No, they're
see?
very tall.
So I'm going to press the left-hand side of my mouse, which is the hit button, to scare off that male polar bear. I think we've scared him off and we can continue on our journey. So those two important buttons is spacebar to call those cubs and hit to scare the male away. Let's get away from him. Keep calling those cubs.
Yeah,
Looking
keep your
around
eyes
to make
looking
sure.
back. Yeah.
Oh, nearly fell in the water there. Keep coming, cubs. And keep your eyes peeled for any male polar bears. They do attack cubs.
Oh gosh, you've done really well there.
We've reached the checkpoint. Okay, and they're still with me. Phew. Right, let's look around for the next beacon. We've got one over there, and I can see a male polar bear. So we need to be alert, and we need to remember to scare him away. And keep calling out cubs by using the jump button.
There's obviously some way she's adapted to scare off those male bears with that great big roar.
That is a big roar, and she's standing on her two hind feet. And is he going to go away?
Go on. No.
Our cubs were attacked.
Oh no.
Keep males away by pressing hit. Right, we got too close there. We need to make sure we are scaring that male away. But look, we haven't gone back to the beginning. We've gone to the last checkpoint. So we can try this one again. Call the cubs. Don't worry if you have to do this a few times. It does take a few goes. Let's avoid that area. I'm going to go around here. Keep calling those cubs.
Yeah. You need to watch out for the water and watch out for the male bear. Come on, hurry up.
Follow me. And we've got more male polar bears. Let's scare him away. And we're going to go which way is best. We're going to go
they want to get to the hunting ground as well, don't they?
They do, exactly.
But we've got some cubs there to actually look after. Come on, hurry up, cubs.
Hurry. Are they still following? Let's get up here and check. They are. Good. Lots of roaring. Yes, we've reached the checkpoint. Good job. Keep going to reach the hunting area. Okay, where's the next? Wow, that one's far away.
Oh, yes.
Okay, let's try this. Keep coming, cubs. We've got a male coming there.
Oh, yes, coming up close.
So the left-hand click on the mouse is that button to scare them away. I'm going to keep calling them. There's lots of roaring. Sorry, teachers, about all the noise that's potentially going on in the classroom.
Oh, give another big roar.
Another big one. Are they following me? Careful. He's very close. Keep calling them. Keep looking around. They're easily distracted, these cubs. Keep coming. We're going to go over this thin ice carefully. And I'm still going to call them.
There's another male coming up on the right-hand side there.
There's
in fact, there's quite a few.
There's one in front. Let's go, cubs. Let's try and scare him away. Or is he too far away? Let's scare him again. There we go. We're nearly there. Right, come on, cubs.
Come on, hurry up, cubs.
Hurry up. Let's climb up here to the hunting ground. Well done. We've reached the hunting ground. Now, I do want you to save and exit here if you've reached those two polar bears playing there. So escape the game just as you see those polar bear cubs, and we'll talk about the next part of the game for you.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen again. There we go. So I hope you all got to that hunting ground with your cubs. Quite a lot of ice to get over. Remember, you need to have pressed that escape button there and wait for us. So we've made it, I say, to that hunting ground in the Minecraft Frozen Oceans world. But I'd like you to think about some of the struggles and the triumphs as well that mama polar bear has to go through to keep her cubs safe. Okay, because I mean, it got quite scary for us and we were only in the game, but think about them actually in the wild. Think about the struggles and the triumphs. Okay, and I'm going to put another QR code up so your teachers know what you think. It probably would be a good idea if, yeah, get some of those answers coming in now. Yeah, that's definitely a struggle, isn't it, with the male bears? Yeah, so you've got to keep an eye out for those. Definitely has to keep an eye on the cubs all the time. I mean, I've got a puppy at the moment and I know what it's like, just keep an eye on what my puppy's up to. But if I thought that I had 2 cubs there that I had to look after and make sure, 1, they didn't fall in the water, and 2, that those male bears didn't attack them as well. Yeah. Keep an eye all the time on those cubs. Yeah, some really good answers coming in there. Growl, yeah, and that's has to be make themselves look big and scary, because remember, those male bears are very, very tall. So yes, they are struggles, but they can triumph over them because they kind of use their bodies to the voice to call the cubs, and also the voice in another way to actually scare off those male polar bears as well. Now, I want to just introduce you to another marine mammal found in the Arctic, and this is the walrus. Now, a walrus is one of the largest pinnipeds. That is a marine mammal, such as seals, sea lions. All of them have got 4 limbs and modified into flippers. Okay, so they've got those little flippers coming out there. You'll see those on seals and sea lions, and the walrus has them as well. Now, they live in the cold polar region of the North Pole and spend most of their lives in the water. They're able to breathe through their nostrils and their mouth, and they can dive under the water for up to 30 minutes at a time. So although they can breathe on the land, they can kind of hold the breath and go under for 30 minutes. Now, walruses, they actually have a very long lifespan, around 40 years in the wild. Walruses can be found in the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean. And they've adapted to a habitat of sea and ice. They actually prefer snow-covered moving pack ice or ice flows to land. That's probably because they can get in the sea quicker as well. But the melting sea ice means that the walruses are losing the places where they rest between feeding and giving birth and nursing their young and avoiding predators like the polar bear, because the polar bear, you know, will look out for walrus because it's good food for them. But there's also have another predator, which is the killer whale. So they've got one on land with polar bear, and they've also got the killer whale. Now, as you can see from this image, the walrus are a very large marine mammals with bushy whiskers. See the whiskers coming down there as well. And they've got very, very large tusks. And walruses often pull themselves around on the ice with those tusks. And they can actually grow as long as 1 meter in their 40-year span as well. And they weigh quite heavy. They can weigh 1,500 kilograms, and they can grow to 3.5 meters in size. And again, they are meat eaters, but they often eat things like clams and worms and snails and crabs. So small things, but they obviously need to eat quite a lot because they're quite large animals as well. And they've adapted well to diving and hunting in the cold water. And I say they can hold their breath for up to 30 minutes. Now, under the walrus's very thick skin, they've got another layer of fat called blubber. Now, blubber plays a very important role in helping the animals like the walruses stay warm because it's very icy conditions in the Arctic, and it acts as an energy store to help those animals keep afloat in the water. It acts as an insulator to keep the animals warm. So this blubber helps them to withstand cold temperatures, and the touch-sensitive whiskers helps them find food. So I don't know what you think, Manager. Do you think we should carry on our journey in Minecraft and see if we can find some additional information?
I think we should. I'm in awe of all those amazing facts about these incredible animals. And we want you now to jump back into the world. So go back into My World, click on that world that you were on just previous, and it should take us straight back in to learn more about these incredible animals. And it's really got me thinking about how climate change and melting sea ice is affecting these incredible animals. It's really, really got us thinking.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think it's brought it to my mind more that we really be thinking about, you know, what are we doing to our planets at the moment, and what can we do to change this, which I think we can touch on later once we actually get back into this game and see what else we can do. I wonder if we're going to become walruses then.
Okay.
But after 10 minutes down there, they must return to the few gaps in the ice to take a breath and rest. She has acute hearing and one of the most sensitive noses in nature. She can detect a seal's lair beneath 2 meters of snow and ice. Walruses. Each adult male weighs more than a ton, and heaving oneself over the sand without the support of water is very hard work. This male has a particular sunbathing spot in mind. Flushing red by bringing blood close to the skin helps them to keep cool. But some overheating is unavoidable. Enough is enough. Getting up here was a slog. But this male has found a better way of getting down. Let gravity do the work.
Oh, it's like roly-polies.
Is doing it.
Wow.
What a wonderful way to get down.
Fantastic. Wow.
Okay, what's happening here now?
The walrus is using gravity to get back into the water. And there's a message. How do we get that message back up? Just to read again, Sarah. We press T?
T, yes, yeah, we can read
Will
again.
that... No, it's not coming up. Oh, yes, it is. Lead 3 walruses back to the water in order to cool off. Okay, so I have to avoid these obstacles, I guess.
So
get
yeah,
back into the water.
As they're roly-poly and we've got different obstacles coming up. Yeah, right.
So on a keyboard, the best way I think is pressing left and right, so the A and D buttons, to try and avoid those obstacles.
Yeah.
And get into the ocean.
Oh wow, what a splash.
Okay, wow. So once you see an obstacle, try and maneuver to the side. We've got rocks, we've got other walruses. Oh no, they're coming up quick and fast.
Yeah, because I think he's rolling faster as well, isn't he?
Yes. So carefully, are we going to squeeze through that gap? Just about.
Just, yeah.
And a big splash.
Splash. We've got 2 in.
And we need 1 more. Okay.
Now just think, learners, I know you must have rolled down hills like this, but if you think you've got to roll down a hill and avoid an obstacle as well, it's quite a challenge for these swallows. Yeah.
So I'm using those
Squeezing
A
through.
and D buttons to maneuver and squeeze through. There we go.
Ah, so we've
Okay,
got
another
our 3.
message. That's all of the walruses in the water. Great job. That's brilliant. Hope you managed to do that one okay, learners. So we've got a new loading area
A new area,
now.
look, right, yes. Okay, see what this takes us to. Hope you're keeping up with us as well, learners. Right. Okay, just got some more messages. We've been equipped with a camera and a journal. Oh, they're in the hotbar at the bottom there. And our job is to document this area for environmental research. We've got to take pictures of the animals and the locations that are listed in the journal. And we need to take our camera and interact with it to take the pictures. And if we take a photo in the correct spot, then a new entry will be unlocked in the journal.
Okay, so like at the beginning of the game, we need to change our perspective. So for the best experience in this area, it's to be in the first person view. So a quick reminder how to do this. If you're using a keyboard, all you need to do is press F5 and toggle through the 3 perspectives until you reach that first person. Okay, if you're on a touch device, you'll need to pause the game and press the settings button. And once you're in the settings area, if you remember, we need to scroll down until we see the video button there. And once you've pressed on it, you'll see the camera perspective. We need to change this to the first person. And we'll go back into the world.
Okay, so let's go and be researchers and find out some information about the animals that live in this location. And
Wow.
we'll try and find you some tips as well. Oh, look, there's a polar bear there. It looks like he's going into a dumpster or something. Oh, don't get too close.
Don't get too close. I'm going to get my camera out ready and try and get a little bit closer to get my photo. We've got a new journal entry unlocked. So if I choose my journal within the hotbar, we'll see we've got this entry here that says polar bear. Climate change is causing Arctic sea ice to disappear more rapidly and more extensively in summer. This leaves polar bears with nowhere to hunt for the seals they rely on for food. Instead, hungry polar bears are coming inland where they can become reliant on raiding human landfill sites, and they can be a big problem for coastal communities. Okay.
Because they were pretty big. Now, do you think
Yes.
those blue arrows telling us where to go and the diamonds?
I think they are. So let's follow these diamonds. I think they're behind this hill. We might have some more photo opportunities.
Oh gosh, they're quite a way off.
They are. Going on a bit of a hike.
Yeah, I hope we've got some warm socks on.
And don't worry which direction, you can explore whichever way you want, learners. There's no correct way to do this. We have an animal over there, I think. Sarah,
yes.
what do you think?
I think that's a walrus, I reckon.
I think that is a walrus.
We need to take a picture before he goes rolling down the hill.
Oh, where is he?
Okay.
Shall we get a bit closer? Don't get too close.
Back up a little bit, take a picture. Ah, great. We've unlocked another entry in our journal.
Here we've got the walrus, so one of the largest Arctic marine mammals, weighing well over a ton in weight, and they have a distinctive moustache and sport 2 large tusks. They live all across the Arctic region where they feed on clams and crustaceans living on the seabed. In summer, they haul out on the land to molt the short reddish brown hair that grows on their bodies. Fascinating. Okay, where am I going to go now?
There's another diamond straight ahead of you.
There is.
And notice those little arrows that we get on the side of the screen as well. That's kind of pointing us. Ah, the cubs.
Let's take a photo. A new journal. We've got polar bear cubs here. So polar bear mothers typically give birth to twins, and cubs stay with their mothers for just over 2 years, learning as much as possible from her, including how to navigate on sea ice, how to hunt seals, and how to avoid danger, as we saw earlier. They are intelligent animals who are innately curious and playful. Aren't they wonderful?
Yeah, they're so cute.
Right, so I'm going to follow these arrows that green diamond is our research base. And I think
Yes.
we can go and explore some more and hopefully find some more photos for our journal.
Yeah, because I think we've still got the bluey coloured ones, haven't we? Oh,
Yes.
see, there's 2 there now. So
There is. Which way am I going to go?
go to that one on the left, I think.
I'm not sure about swimming though, Sarah.
Oh, okay.
It looks a bit cold to me.
You not get a little bit closer on the ice flows there?
And I've gone for
Oh,
it. I've dived in.
Okay. Oh, that feels cold.
It does feel
Just
cold.
yeah, have a swim quickly.
I think maybe a boat or something would have been more useful.
I think they obviously wanted us to
Right.
test this water out.
It is. I can see this diamond over here. Let's see. Ah, what have we got here?
Ah, there's splashes, so I bet that's walruses rolling down again.
I think you might be right. Is that walrus? Oh, it's splashing into the water. Wow, that's incredible. Should we get a photo here? Let's get a little bit closer.
That's it there now. Is it rolling? Yeah.
He's rolling. I think I'm going to try and get a photo of him from up at the top. Let's see.
I think you like these walruses.
I do. Let's get this way. We have a journal entry unlocked. Okay, so we've got some more information about the walrus here, and this is what we saw earlier. And we've learned here that they're very heavy, sometimes weighing up to 1,500 kilos, and getting up a hill requires a lot of energy, but downhill they can take advantage of gravity and their rounded body shape. Brilliant.
I bet they have fun doing that as well.
It looks a lot of fun, but it's a great way of conserving energy as well, isn't it?
True,
To think how
true.
big they are and how much energy it would
Yeah.
take to get up that hill.
And again, using their 2 tusks as like pick ices
Yes.
to actually
Yes.
climb up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. They call them a tooth walker.
Ah,
That's another name for a walrus, a tooth
okay,
walker.
wow. Right, we've got another diamond over here. And I think I can spot.
A polar bear.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a male polar bear. 'Cause I'm not gonna...
Could be.
Oh.
Right, let's get our camera ready. He's going away from me now. He's camera shy.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, it's still unlocked.
Unlocked. Let's go back into our journal. So the polar bear lives in the lands and seas surrounding the North Pole. Polar bears mostly live solitary lives. They feed mainly on sea mammals, especially seals. And we did get a message popped up there, didn't we, Sarah? Let's press T to read that last message. You have finished all the research tasks and returned to the researcher base. Excellent. Right. So we've got that green diamond that will guide us back to the research centre. I can still see that walrus splashing into the water.
Just need to follow the green diamond. You don't slip on that ice.
Looks very thin ice, this.
I don't think you should go back in the water again.
No, I'm really cold after that. Okay, I can see an NCP up ahead. What does that say? So we've got researcher. Should we see what he's got to say?
Yeah.
Let's right click. Okay. Hello, I see you've gathered all of the research materials. Can you give it to me? Yes, let's give photos.
Oh, and he's got some more information there as well. So let's see what he's saying. The seasonal extremes of the far north have always tested its inhabitants to the limit, but the climate change presents even more challenges for these animals. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature and weather patterns.
Okay, so climate change is causing the sea ice to melt. And this means that polar bears who depend on the sea ice to hunt for food are being forced to travel further and spend more time on land.
Okay, yes, they're increasingly being forced into areas where humans live, which can cause conflict. We've recently seen one right there in the research facility. Oh, that was the bear, wasn't it, actually going into the
Yes.
dumpster? Yeah, yeah. Scientists worry that the polar bears may become extinct within the next 100 years.
That is heartbreaking. The loss of stable sea ice affects the walrus as well. He's unable to find suitable platforms to rest on, and walruses are gathering in large numbers on land, further from their feeding grounds. So walruses can be really big, and having too many in one place can be dangerous. And being on land also makes them more vulnerable to predators.
Okay, so it's easy to get discouraged by these problems, and it helps me to know that people around the world are working to slow the rate that the climate changes. You can help too. Vehicles are a large source of carbon emissions that contribute to the climate change.
Yes, and we should consider options like public transportation, walking, cycling, and car shares. Think about going somewhere local for your next vacation instead of flying. Let's work together to help some of these amazing animals.
Oh, there's a lot of information there.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, learners, you should get a little animation coming up, and we really hope that you have enjoyed this virtual session, and the Frozen Planet Minecraft world has helped you to understand how climate change affects the polar bears and the walruses, other animals around the world, and humans too. So big storms and heavy rainfall cause flooding. There's record high temperatures trigger droughts and wildfires. There's melting ice caps, makes sea levels rise, and even the seasons are changing, and wildlife is getting confused by warmer winters and earlier springs. Now, I know it all sounds scary, but there is hope for a brighter future.
If we act now, we can slow down the rate of climate change and prevent some of the worst effects. Young people can change the world. Children have a powerful voice and can make big things happen. While it's up to the grown-ups in power to make big decisions to tackle climate change on a global scale, there are plenty of ways children and young people can make a difference at home and at school.
Yeah, there's many of our daily habits actually contribute to climate change, and we all need to change the way we live to stop harming the planet. And a lot of these changes can improve our lives for the better too, such as having cleaner air and having more exercise and healthier diets and have green spaces. So let's have a look. We've got 5 ideas that we would encourage you to think about and that you could perhaps do the same.
So the first one is plant trees. Did you know that trees have superpowers?
Wow.
They naturally absorb CO2, storing it in their trunks, roots and leaves. So they're a brilliant way to fight climate change. And they have loads of other benefits too. They give us oxygen to breathe, they reduce flooding, they provide homes for wildlife, and they help make us healthier and happier. When you plant trees, you're doing something amazing for everyone. If your family has a garden, you can buy trees from the shop to plant at home. Your school can also apply for free trees to plant in your school grounds too.
Wow, so I think teachers, that might be something to think about, actually getting some trees planted. Now, our second tip as well is to use green transport. And now, because most cars run on petrol or diesel, that actually creates CO2 and it contributes to climate change. So next time, why don't you're going on a short journey, why don't you walk or use a bicycle, something like that? You know, I mean, how many of you actually go in a car to school when actually you could really walk there because it's not that far? Just think about it.
Our next tip is don't be wasteful. Don't waste things. Wasting energy and natural resources harms the planet, but there are lots of ways you can help avoid waste. So things like getting into good habits to turn off lights and electronics when you're not using them. Your family could get a smart meter to keep track of how much energy you use and help you save more. Recycle things so that they can be turned into something new. Learn how to fix broken things instead of throwing them away. How about finding recipes to turn your family's leftovers into yummy meals, and you can compost any food scraps? How about swapping clothes and books with your friends? You could donate unwanted items to charity shops. And buy less stuff, especially things you don't really need.
Some good tips there, Manon, thank you. And what about eating less meat and dairy? Did you know that farming creates a lot of greenhouse gas emissions? And did you know that the methane produced by cow burps is a big cause of climate change? Amazing, but it's true. So encourage your family to plan some meals that are actually meat-free. You could try that you just do this once or twice a week by giving up meat for those times, and discover some new flavours as well, and it could become your favourite dishes. And most importantly is spread the word. One of the biggest things you can do is to encourage others to join you in making a positive change. Talk to your family about these things that you could do together at home, such as the ideas we've talked about, having some kind of meat-free meals, planting trees, etc. And, you know, just discuss these ideas. You could actually create a school's eco-council and speak to an assembly. You could make a short film, a sway, anything like that to actually inspire other pupils at your school. You might even write a letter, challenge a business to be more environmentally friendly. Now, it actually comes to the end of the session that we've got today, and it's time for us to wrap up this virtual classroom session. I think we've given you plenty to think about in this World Earth Week. Wouldn't you say so, Manon?
I would definitely agree, Sarah.
Yes. So I want to thank you, Manon, for being part of today with me.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you to Orla from the BBC, and of course all you learners that joined us today. So thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.